Good guy, that Mike Garafolo. Following the Super Bowl, it's time for a super chat with our friend Mike Garafolo from the NFL Network, who took a very early Monday morning flight to get home to New Jersey and now joins us on limited sleep. So, Mike, we really appreciate it. First of all, how was your overall experience in New Orleans this year?
It was great. Good food. It's a convenient Super Bowl. You know, I think when the media start to complain, and everybody loves when the media starts to complain, Jay. When they start to complain, it's about logistics. And some places like Miami, Arizona's another one, or Los Angeles next year, in San Francisco,
yes,
because a lot of the stuff's going to be down in San Jose. Whenever it's really spread out, the media start to complain. This was very convenient. Everything really walkable. You could walk to and from the Superdome if you had to. So I like New Orleans for that reason. The weather was great. Maybe a touch too humid for some folks who are complaining about their hair. But, you know, Jay, not a problem here, pal.
A lot of advantages to being follically challenged. Mike, I guess my first real question for you is, what impressed you most about this championship-winning Philadelphia Eagles team?
Yeah, it was a team that had acted like they'd been there before, and they had 2 years ago. And the added experience was something that we knew was going to be a factor in their favor. Nick Sirianni alluded to the fact that they had made changes, didn't want to say exactly what they were, but changes to the experience after having that experience of losing that game. And it's not like they got blown out in that game. It was a close game that really could have gone either way. So I think that was the edge. Certainly this roster that had no holes. I mean, we kept talking about the Chiefs, and we'll get to the Chiefs in a second, but was this really an incomplete team that was somehow winning games just because of the experience they had and the knowledge of making plays in key parts of the game? But they couldn't even get there. I mean, you couldn't even get to the point where, Mahomes got the ball with a minute and a half left, and as well as the Eagles played, it was nowhere close. I mean, once we got to that point where it was 17-0, you said, okay, well, they've got to score, and whether it's a field goal or a touchdown, they got to score on the other side of halftime, so maybe it's 17-14 or 17-10, and then bang, interception, touchdown, 24-0. There was never a point at which it was tightening. I would say for the Chiefs, and the last time we saw this in the Super Bowl when Patrick Mahomes was under great pressure was against Tampa Bay. They went into the offseason. They addressed the offensive line. They added Joe Thuney after that game. So I would expect that the Chiefs are going to go into this and say, look, we need not only frontline starters, but also reliable backups behind that, because playing Thuney at left tackle, a lot of times in the draft we hear guys with short arms or they don't have the body type to play left tackle. That's why. Joe Thuney's not a left tackle, and he got pushed back, and that just ruined everything for the Chiefs up front. I don't blame Mahomes. I don't blame the defense. The protection wasn't there. It didn't allow for any of that stuff to happen.
So that's what you expect, Mike, in the offseason, simply that Andy Reid and company will address that offensive line in Kansas City?
Yeah, amongst other things. And one of their offensive linemen, Trey Smith, is a free agent. So there's going to be a lot of key decisions that have to be made there. I would say they also need to look for some explosiveness. Xavier Worthy certainly can provide it, but it's not the vertical offense that we saw from the Chiefs before when they had Tyreek Hill. And, of course, Travis Kelce does seem to be mulling retirement here with a lot of off-the-field opportunities, certainly tugging at him and saying, hey, come this way. You can actually make a lot more money this way, Travis.
Yep, and a lot less risk of injury. Well, you never know. I guess it depends what he decides to do. Okay, it seems like you weren't working the whole time in New Orleans, Mike. You had a little chance to hang out with some of our friends here at TSN. Look at this beautiful photo. You and Kara Wagland, James Duthie with a tan that George Hamilton is envious of, and, of course, Canada's favorite tight end, Luke Wilson. I love seeing you with the TSN crew. Did you have a good time with that crew?
Had a blast. It was a chance encounter. I was down there. My parents came down. I brought them down for NFL honors. My wife was down as well. We were just walking there through Jackson Square after going to the cathedral right there. And lo and behold, there's my TSN crew right there. I mean, if I'd have known, I would have gotten dressed and could have popped in and provided some insight. But those guys and gals do a great job there, and was happy to see that they had the plum location when it came to those live shots down there in New Orleans.
Yeah, they did very well. Very quickly, Mike, Jets announcing they'll not bring back Aaron Rodgers for a third season. I think we probably expected that, but they made it official. So Rodgers basically available. How does that change what should be already a very busy offseason when it comes to NFL quarterbacks?
Yeah, look, there's not a lot of great options out there. And Aaron Rodgers has said he's willing to be a mentor for a young quarterback. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for that across the league. So I expect Rodgers to get some play. Sam Darnold's going to be the belle of the ball when it comes to free agency. I was at the Senior Bowl 2 weeks ago, and everybody who really needs a quarterback, the first question was, what's going to happen with Darnold? So I expect him to make some big money, which could be away from Minnesota if they don't tag him. We've got the likes of Derek Carr, who could be popping free soon. He's got a lot of money coming from the Saints, so they may decide to move on from him. Matthew Stafford and the Rams, that is anything but set out there. Kirk Cousins and the Falcons going to be a standoff. I think that could last up to maybe even through the draft, because the Falcons are going to hold on to him and say, we're comfortable with a backup that makes $40 million. I don't believe that, but that's what they have to put out there to make sure that other teams give him trade offers and potentially Cousins waives his no-trade clause. Russell Wilson, don't expect him back in Pittsburgh. Wouldn't completely close the door on that one, but we'll see where he winds up. Look, there's a lot of veterans out there. It's not ideal, some of these guys to bring in, because they're short-term guys who are on the back end of their careers, but we're going to see some active movement when it comes to veteran quarterbacks in free agency, and we're under a month away to that, Jay. So we're just wrapping up this season, getting ready to move on to the 2025 regular season.
Can't wait for that. Can't wait to talk to you about it, and you deserve a bourbon, buddy. Thanks for this.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it.